Welcome, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day to all of you in the US and Israel and wherever you're calling from around the world. My name is Naomi Reinhardt. I'm the Chief Development Officer of the America-Israel Friendship League. I'm calling in from Pompano Beach, Florida. As always, please put in the chat where you are calling in from and how you are celebrating Valentine's Day. And also maybe for the special occasion, you can write today what your favorite sweet is. I brought some of mine favorite. This is chocolate, which I've already had some of today, and some Hershey Kisses, which, you know, who doesn't like those for Valentine's Day? So I can see that we're all, or many of us are wearing red. Hopefully you're all wearing red. Hopefully you all have some great plans for this special day. I know here in the United States, Valentine's Day is traditionally a bigger deal and more of a holiday than it is in Israel, although it's becoming more of a holiday in Israel as well. And we're going to hear a little bit about that on today's webinar. So I am pleased to introduce our three panelists for today. We have Danielle Gross, we have Yaakov Elbert, and we have Shelley Lee Goldberg. Danielle is calling in from Arizona, and Yaakov and Shelley are calling in from Israel. And we are especially grateful to have them today on probably their busiest work day of the year. So I know there's a lot going on. I can see Shelley's in her store with a lot of people working behind her, and she told us earlier that there's a long line of people waiting for chocolates behind her, so maybe we'll get a glimpse of that as well. And I will introduce them briefly, and then they're each going to introduce themselves afterwards. So Shelley Lee Goldenberg, like me, started off her career as an attorney. She was actually in corporate law for 10 years before she realized that she wanted to follow her passion, and she went to the Institute of Culinary Education in New York, worked for a star chef, and then started a small chocolate production studio in New Jersey. And then she opened Jolita Chocolate in Ramat Sharon, Israel. Shelley, we're going to mute you when you're in the store, because there's some background noise. But then when it's your turn to speak. So if you could just mute yourself when you're not speaking, thank you. So that's Shelley in Ramat Sharon. Then we have Yaakov Elbert, who's the owner of Gustel Chocolates, also in Israel. He was the owner since 2020, and he also started his career in a totally different field in finance and in financial analysis and business before he too discovered his passion and his love for sweets. And Danielle Gross, as I said, is in Arizona. She actually comes to us from the macaron world, or macaron. There's been a debate going on whether you say macaron or macaroon, so we'll get into that a little bit later as well. And she has a cool name for her company, which she'll tell us a little bit about later. So let's start with our panelists giving us some background on themselves. Again, tell us in the chat, I can already see people calling in from around the world about what they're doing from Valentine's Day, what their plans are, and looking forward to hearing all your questions a little bit later in the program. So let's start with Shelley, and I think we're going to start first with a video that she's prepared for us. So let's start the video from Shelley. I think while we're waiting for the video, maybe Shelley, oh, there it goes. Okay. Awesome. So Shelley, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your background and what led you to go?
I think that in a way, this homemade video represents me really nicely because, I'm the owner of Jolika Chocolate. It's a very small production kitchen and a shop. And now we're very busy, obviously, because because of Valentine. But what the beautiful thing about this place for me is that it really comes, from the heart. It's about my passion, my taste, my flavor, the flavors that I love. It's not very planned ahead, it's just represents what I feel in the same day or week or hour. So that's the idea. That's what's going on here. Before that, I did something else, and I completely immersed into the chocolate world.
Can you tell us about some of the popular items that you're selling to your customers today?
Well, today it's obviously a product that we call a chocolate that we call Jolly's Heartbreakers. That's a big heart made out of chocolate, and inside of it there's 10 small hearts filled with different flavors. And I would show you a sample, but we ran out of. So you can only see it online. It's a big hit. It comes with a small hammer, and people really enjoy it. Other things that we sell and enjoy are, chocolates with with special kinds of flavors. Like for Shavuot, this holiday, obviously, it's like the cheese holiday here. So we incorporate aged cheeses with with chocolate. So it will be a Parmesan or some other French special cheese. We will put like spicy chili. We will put some tomatoes. And people really enjoy it. They will. Well, in this note, I can say that people really want to know that we have those special flavors. But at the end, they will buy the hazelnut or the milk chocolate that they're used to. So, but still, this is something that really represents us.
That's great. And Yaakov, let's turn to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and how you started your company.
Well, as Naomi said, I'm coming from a different background. I'm coming from the finance, business development, couple of years in China. And then when I came back to Israel, I started to work with finance, business development, and it's something that's since our marriage we've been starting traveling to Paris a lot, and we discovered this whole world of fine chocolate and fine patisserie and all of these wonderful products, and mainly these. Well, I'll speak with this over Hanukkah and New Year's collections. We started a cooperation with the chef David Bitton, who was the chief chef of King David Hotel and La Regence restaurant. So we started a cooperation with him. And for Valentine's and for Purim, this is a chocolat chaud, like in Paris. It's a chocolate-based hot chocolate,
oh.
And it's very, very smooth, silky, and contains pretty much like 25% of chocolate. And it's quite different from the what's called what we know in Israel as choco, and what. So after coming from Paris, we had all the time we had this feeling that we don't have here in especially in Jerusalem, kind of a place that has fine chocolates on fine. fine products as we getting used to. Even in Tel Aviv and other places in Israel, we do. But in Jerusalem, there wasn't something like that, and it's an idea that started to like develop about a year and a half ago, and somehow it came to reality, and we just opened in the middle of the COVID, about a month before Rosh Hashanah, and in the beginning, well, it's still the beginning. We started, and it was this is our one of our boxes that I think it's it's one of our boxes that we have all kinds of pas de fruits and toffee, like butterscotch candies and doubles and all kinds of covered nuts with and rolled nuts. And we started with about a month before Rosh Hashanah. This is our Valentine's box that today was crazy how people bought it. And we started about one month before Rosh Hashanah, and we were very, very cautious that, you know, that it's COVID and we had some curfews in Israel and people won't come, but it seems that people just, as we needed something special here in Jerusalem, so people started to come to order online, and now we having deliveries pretty much. Well, we didn't got to a lot, but today I think one of our deliveries went to Tzfat and up north and to Beersheba, and we are we're trying to do our best in order to get the product as much as appealing, as much as tasty as we can.
I think it's probably pretty unusual to start a business during COVID, and it's wonderful that you've been so successful, and we'll ask you some more questions about that later. I also want to say that I'm getting very hungry looking at all these pictures, and I think all of us have our mouths watering, and when you mentioned shoko, it reminded me of having shoko as a kid in Israel, and a lot of good memories from that wonderful drink. So let's turn to Danielle now, who's all the way in Arizona. And I know she has some interesting things to look at behind her, and she'll tell us a little bit about her business and how she started and pivoted into this career as well.
Hi guys, I'm coming from Phoenix, Arizona, where it's nice and sunny and pretty hot considering it's February. But I started off baking with my family. I come from a pretty good family of bakers, and I saw macarons and I was like, I think I can do that. So diving in, I tried with a hand mixer. Disaster, complete disaster. They looked like green pancakes. So I had plenty of time once COVID hit and was like, why not try and master them? So I started playing with flavors and kept pawning them off on my friends. I'm like, I'm sorry if you gain a couple pounds here and there, but I really need you to try these. Eventually, I got enough friends to say, you know, you really need to go into selling them. So right now I am a cottage baker, which means I'm baking out of my kitchen. Eventually I would love to move up and to have my own shop, but I kind of started the way these other chocolatiers did. I didn't really know that baking would be my career at all. I started in social work, and it just kind of fell into kind of an obsession of making the perfect macaron. So I have some photos that we can take a look at about some of the different ones we have. The biggest thing is that macarons are so tricky. Like, you can mess them up in about 50 ways possible. You can not mix your meringue right. You cannot make your macaronage right. You can let them rest too long. You can not let them rest long enough. I would try and make some for parties I was going to and was like, okay, I can do them really quick in an hour. And then I would waste my whole day trying to get them figured out, and then they wouldn't work. So basically the main thing about macarons is just having patience and the willingness to just try a bunch of things. Like, I messed with them for 50 50 different temperatures I think I went through, lots of different ingredients. I mean, you can see these are the pancakes that we talked about. They don't look anything representable like a macaron. But my kitchen was always mayhem after I tried to make macarons. And so that's kind of where macaron mayhem came from. I like to do kind of weird flavors like you saw Fruity Pebbles. I like to take other cookies and put them inside an already well-known cookie. Like Snickerdoodle is probably our most popular, which is like a buttercream Snickerdoodle filling. And I just, I get to play all the time because I have a great friend that has a vanilla company and they're very sweet and they send me lots of different flavors. Kind of like Jakob was talking about earlier, we like to incorporate things with the season. There's a lot of citrus down here in Phoenix right now, so we have lots of those flavors coming up within the next couple of weeks. And thank you. And that's my little helper, Penelope. She's the best little baking assistant you could ever ask for.
She looks very helpful. And I noticed you said macaroon. So is it macaroon or macaron? Which one is it?
It's macaron, but I pronounce it the other way. There are two different types of cookies. And macaron are these ones that we're showing now. The other ones are coconut little pastries that are in balls. Another thing I kind of wanted to show you guys was these videos of your macaronage. Most people will give videos and show this first clip that I'm going to and say that you're good to go, you're ready, pipe them up. You can see that the consistency is like a ribbon, but it's not quite what you need. You need it to come off of it like a full ribbon and make a figure 8, and the batter will pull into the rest of it. So it all melts. You shouldn't see that figure 8 at the end. So that was just kind of my little tip and trick if I can help any of you out with macarons in the future.
That's great. I'm sure we're going to have some more questions and tricks later on in the program. And I want to go back to Shelley to speak a little bit about the history of chocolate. We're getting a lot of questions about the history of chocolate, where it stemmed from, whether in Israel or the United States and elsewhere, and also questions about how one even starts to make chocolate. So let's go back to Shelley.
Hi again. May I first respond to the correct name about the macarons? Sure. Because it's a big deal. And when I did my internship, I did it for a culinary school. I did it in Manhattan, but then in a French kitchen, with a French chef. And the staff, everybody were French. So I'm like, tell me, how do you pronounce it? Do you say macaron? Well, so they say in French, of course, macaron. And I'm like, what? And they go again, macaron. And you can't really say it. So it's tricky.
Yeah, it's so difficult. So I just go with the easier one for me.
Yeah. And in addition, there's the American sweet treat. The American macaroon. There is something like that. So it's a different cookie, but it's confusing. So whenever I'm trying to correct people, they're like, "What?" And so I just let go of it, and So regarding to chocolate, well, clearly there's not enough space in my mind at the moment to go all the way back to the history of chocolate. I don't know how back you want me to go, but I can speak maybe about the recent years of the changes that happen and are still happening in this field. And I think it's not only chocolate; it's also the culinary world. People are more concerned about sourcing and origin of products, not just chocolate, but also chocolate. So if maybe like 5-10 years ago, they would go, give me dark chocolate, please. They would now ask for percentage for, is it from Brazil or Nicaragua or Costa Rica? They would just want to know where it came from, where it comes from. And then also people are more open to flavors they actually expect you to put in some salted caramel. It's a thing, or spicy chili, different herbs that normally you wouldn't even think of putting into chocolate, like thyme, like dried tomatoes, cheese, all kind of people really want this. And then if I compare it to what we here in Israel used to have, it's a different world. It's really a different world, because when I was a kid, honestly, we didn't have chocolate. We had some chocolate covered snacks. It wasn't like a bar of chocolate. Who would get this? It wasn't something that you buy. And I remember as a kid, my dad was bringing chocolate like on Friday. That's it. It was this chocolate covered snack, wafer or something like that, and that's it. Of course, it developed. The end of the story is that my dad was sending me chocolate from French, La Maison de Chocolat, sending me it all the way from wherever to my house, chilled in styrofoam and ice packs. So it's just an example for how we changed, and this field has changed. So, and in a note also, if you will ask French people and Belgian people, they will be they will have a different opinion about chocolate. I don't know how you're, familiar with this. So there are some chocolates that are considered to be more French, and some that are considered to be more Belgian. It's a different technique. And what I loved about studying in the US is the fact that American culinary just take everything, throws everything into one big metaphorical pile, and creates something else unique and beautiful and flavorful. So that's also something that happens. So, and eventually you will see French chefs learning or studying from American chefs that, it's a mixture of techniques and knowledge and traditions. It's really beautiful.
That's really interesting. And can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the store behind you? And again, it's a busy day of the year, so tell us what's happening.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're closing in a few minutes. The vitrine of chocolate is empty. I don't know if it's actually a sad thing to see. Just behind me, nothing was left.
The good sign.
What?
The good sign that you're selling out.
It's a good sign. We ran out of boxes. We ran out of bags. We ran out of chocolates. We made many people very happy, hopefully. But the thing with COVID is that usually we're in more, the interaction is more intimate. People really want to talk about who they're giving the gift to, what are they going to write about it. People come here dressed with, red and hearts, but this is not happening. It's all, most of it is online. So that's something that a little sadder, but then again, it's still good.
Has COVID changed your business model in that sense? Have you had to reconfigure your online storage?
Oh yeah, my online store was, very relaxed, I would say, and it's now like 5 times stronger than before COVID.
Sure, I can imagine.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it a little bit. Let's turn over to Yaakov now. Thank you, Shelley. And we'll just mute you to block out some of the noise in the meantime. But Yaakov, why don't you also speak to us? As you mentioned, you switched over from a career in business and finance. Tell us a little bit more about why you chose chocolate specifically, and also a little bit about what Valentine's Day is like in Israel, because I think it's not, a traditional holiday the same way it is in the United States, and how has that been changing in Israel?
Well, white chocolate is because I think chocolate can be something like when chocolate can be something like divine, and it's very easy to ruin chocolate, and you have to be very precise while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you have to be very precise, and like it started like I would say a home challenge for at one point, that to make some tarts and make some French pastry and croissant, and then it came, okay, maybe you can make chocolate. So I said, okay, let's try to make chocolate, and it came out nice, but we totally understood that like we cannot sell these things. But then we like figure out, ask, learn, got culinary consultancy, and then we opened.
Mm-hmm.
And regarding the Valentine's Day, I think it's not that common yet in Israel. I would say it's more of like, especially in Jerusalem, like maybe in Tel Aviv and some other places, it's more common, especially because of the multinational companies that mostly located in Tel Aviv. So and especially high-tech companies would make some presents or some gifts to their employees mostly. But it's from there, it's starting to go, starting to spread to like private people, and people want to just show their love and show their respect. And like chocolate's always been something that you express your gratitude or love or something, or all of those kinds with the chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this phenomenon of Valentine's, especially when here in Israel it's not combined, but I think what's called the family days, it's 1 or 2 days before or after, like contributing to this thing when people just want to express their feelings and emotions. And I think it's going to grow in the upcoming years.
I hope so. What's it like, during COVID right now in Israel? We heard from Shelley about what it's like with transitioning into an online store more than in person. Have you seen the same with your business?
So actually we open like since, I would say, September. So it's like five months. And we only started with our online deliveries in the shop about 3 months, like in the beginning of November. So I can say that it's about 30% of our sales are online, and it's growing all the time. But still, people are, despite the fact there are lockdowns and stuff like that, people come, call the store, and they just ordering. And actually I read a paper about like 2 months ago that in Israel, actually the consumption of wine and chocolate rose during the COVID, because people have been locked down for so long in their houses, and you just want like something that will make you happy, so you order chocolates or wine or alcohol too.
Yeah. Well, we hear about people getting the COVID-15, so some of that is from chocolate, the extra weight that we all got recently. But chocolate does make people feel better, and it is
Well,
something.
so it's not only about the weight, you know, like your emotional health is also important, and chocolate definitely helps that.
For sure. So it's been good for business in that sense for you.
It's not easy because you have to, because part of, I think with Shelley, I'm looking at her story. Part of the experience is to come and to smell and to see and to choose, and while you in the middle of lockdown, you can do that. So you have to express yourself much better over online. Saying that, when in those times in the middle when people can't get out, so we have lots of responses that people say, well, I got your chocolate, it's great, and the first occasion that we'll be in Jerusalem, we could come, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's turn over to Danielle for a minute now. We're getting questions about, why macarons specifically. And I know we talked a little bit about macarons earlier, or macarons. But tell us a little bit about, the history of macaroons or macarons. Were they created in France versus the Middle East? And, do people prefer macaroons over chocolate? Tell us a little bit about the comparison between the different sweets that people like on Valentine's Day.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think where macarons came from might be the biggest debate in baking world. There's the Italian method, there's the French method, but then you also have to think about almond-based treats that come from the Middle East. So I think depending on where you come or what kind you choose, that's really your answer. I've done lots of research. I don't know who was the first person to invent the macaron. However, I like the French method because I don't have much experience with sugar and boiling it and making into a syrup. So that intimidated me and I just ran away from that. But the French method is great for me. I can set them down, I can let them rest and then do the dishes in the middle and things like that. So this method's really worked for me. And I guess just with flavorings, and I've seen so many people make them and they just look so delicious. I just kept wanting to make them and see what I could do. I don't think that there's really a definite why. I just am stubborn and that's kind of what happened. It was great for me during COVID. I had so much downtime to really play with things and try different temperatures and techniques and such. And the online world really just gave me my start. I made an Instagram account from it, and then after that, we made a website, and it's kind of just growing from there. So it's been a fun time. We made the best of COVID as we could. So
you find that people are ordering from you from mostly Arizona or from other parts of the country, or?
I have attempted to ship them to other parts of the country. Right now, they're such a finicky cookie that I haven't found the best packaging for it. And with shipping delays during COVID, there's no guarantee that they'll still stay fresh. We've done a couple test runs and they got scrambled macarons instead. So maybe in the future, once we get a little bit bigger and we have the ability to do that, we'll go there.
Right. And I know you said you hope to open a store one day. Do you think you'll prefer having an in-store model versus the online model?
I think so. I love people. I love talking to people. I think it's a great connection. I love seeing people smile when they eat my food. I think every baker really, really enjoys that. So yeah, ready to open up and be back in the world again.
It's hard to see the smiles under the mask, but I'm sure they're smiling as they eat your treats. And what are some of your top selling items for Valentine's Day?
Some of my top selling ones are chocolate almond. Vanilla bean is a very popular one. And then the snickerdoodle is just my most popular. It's weird because it really does taste exactly like a snickerdoodle, just sandwiched in between.
What's it comprised of?
It's like a snickerdoodle buttercream, just smushed in between the two shells. And it's weird because you have two cookies in one.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
So let's some questions for all of you. We have a lot of questions coming in, again, from all over the world. People really have very strong opinions about chocolate, it looks like. So can you tell us, are there new trends happening in chocolates or in macaroons these days? You know, is it a constantly evolving sort of food item? And what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the United States? Maybe Shelly will start.
I think that one of the biggest trends would be obviously vegan food. In Israel, we have to have that because some people, would like some parv desserts. And it's really easy to do this with chocolate. I mean, whenever you go for a dark chocolate, all you have to do just add some sugars, flavors, fruit, nuts, and you have the best of chocolate. We don't use any substitutes. Like we do have a vegan line, and then we will just use some coconut cream, nuts, dried fruit, and it will be so good. So delicious. So we don't need to apologize, for the flavor. It would just be good chocolate. We don't even in the store, we don't say that it's vegan. Like it's just sitting there next to the other chocolates and you can just have it. And so this is a big trend. And also another trend that we actually find a problem working with is the lowering the sugar levels of food. People are much more concerned about the salt, the sugar, and all the more commercial sugar substitutes are not as healthy, not as good for you. And the one that are the others that are better for you are not really. You can find good enough chocolate with them. Like people will call me and say, "Listen, is there any way you can make a chocolate just with date and coconut and no sugar, no substitute, no preservatives?" We don't do preservatives, but they would. They would ask for something that obviously is nice to have at home. You can make some cocoa with honey, but it's not good enough to sell in a chocolate shop. We do want to keep some standards for taste and flavor. So I think this is a big deal. Something else would be using chocolate, looking at chocolate, not just as a snack, not just something that you nibble on while you're watching TV. It's not like cornflakes or, I don't know, some kind of a snack. People will, appreciate it more. Will go to a specialty store. They will pick each and every chocolate. We have a box of 30 chocolates. They will pick each and every one, after asking what's inside. And they will go home and have one or two a day, give it the time and concentrate in it. So appreciate it more. So it's really nice to see and be a part of this thing.
We have a question about people are watching the activity behind you, and we notice that there's most men buying chocolate, I presume for girlfriends or wives. So is that the trend right now?
No, women came in the morning.
Oh, they plan ahead.
They plan ahead of time. They made all the online shopping ahead of time. We started taking orders a month ago. So 3.5 weeks ago. So women are more organized, planned. We don't have much time, so we need to really work it really smart.
Yeah. So the men are very last minute.
Very last minute. Well, usually when I stand there, I really urge them to write a note. Just a few words or something like that. But as I said before, not everybody's coming in. When they come in, we need to be really quick. So we don't want to be in a long interaction, because of COVID. So it's different. But yeah, guys are more casual. They do it more as a chore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they don't forget. That's
Yeah, exactly.
We have a question for Danielle. You mentioned that the weather in Arizona is very hot right now, even in February. So how do you sort of maintain the freshness and quality of the chocolate with the weather conditions there? Just if you have to go off mute, Danielle.
We have to freeze our macarons. They stay great in the freezer ahead of time, but we bake them the day of pickup or the day before and stick them in the freezer. You can't really do much outside events with macarons in the summer here because it can get up to 115 or 118. So they're really more of an indoor treat. They need to be kept in the fridge or the freezer until about 5 minutes before enjoying them. Otherwise, they'll have a melted mess.
Mm-hmm. So is that complicated with if you do ship or if you do try to become larger scale?
Yes, absolutely. That would be something I would need to figure out how to do. They won't make it.
Yeah, I can imagine. And in terms of that question for all of you, I mean, how do you compete these days with, these huge chocolate companies like Hershey's and, all the big names out there? How do you compete as a small enterprise and especially the new businesses? Do you find that you have a different audience or a different market than some of these really large companies? Maybe Yaakov, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm not competing with Hershey's and Elite and all those huge companies. We're not aiming to be like the common chocolate for everyone. We are concerning and we are paying attention. It's the handmade chocolates for people who appreciate, who can appreciate the chocolate, and most of the people who come and taste the chocolate, they would say, wow, it's something different that we didn't eat before. We're using only natural products and fresh fruit and herbs right from the market. And it's like, I don't think that I don't say the Ferraris are competing with Toyota. Like Toyota, it's like for a certain amount of people, and Ferraris are. And handmade chocolates, and especially the level that we're trying to reach, are like everyone knows what they're paying for and what they're getting for, and what they're getting for their money. So so I don't think we in the same like octagon that we have direct fight. And what like. I have paid attention in a couple past months that people would say, your products, you would say it's are general like choco. So in Israel, you have the choco, you have either the powder or you have the choco besakit and the choco in the bag. Or the most advanced, I would say, level that you can get is like steamed milk with a piece of chocolate that you put inside and mix it. So we try to make our choco and our chocolat chaud in a whole different kind of level. And when people taste it, they say, "Wow, it's something that we didn't ever had before." Like when I had that a couple years in Paris, but I wanted to drink coffee and the coffee was terrible in Paris. So, and my wife had the chocolat chaud and I sipped it and I said, wow, it's like blew my mind. And we wanted to bring this experience here. I must say that the chocolat chaud in Paris is much more bitter than in Israel, so we had to make the adaptations for an Israeli palate. But still, when we're talking quality, and then you cannot. Maybe you can. I don't know how yet, but you cannot be Hershey's and provide the quality and the uniqueness of Maison de Chocolat or handmade baked chocolates.
That's a good point in terms of the quality. And Danielle, you mentioned that you also developed an Instagram presence. And how did you sort of market your Instagram account and your company? Both Danielle and Shelley, but we'll start with Danielle.
Really, I just started playing with different flavors and messing around with things. Started posting for my friends, and my friends would tag somebody else and say, we should get these for so-and-so, and kind of like that. And so it was kind of word of mouth, but social media, which was really cool to see how it's grown like that. But kind of like what Jakob said, we can't compete with the giant businesses in that sense, but we put a lot of heart and time and energy into that, especially being home bakers. Myself, I mean, I have a very small production center, so everything I do is all attention into that. So I think that's really what set us apart.
I would say that another thing that you cannot get with a huge company is like the people especially in the COVID days when like we being forced to separate from each other, and people like and love the care, the thing that they come into your shop and you know who they are. They know their preferences, and their and when they ask, okay, when I want something for my wife or my friend, whatever, so you can give them the exact thing that they're looking for, and this thing, this added value that I don't think that Hershey's or any big conglomerate can give. This is one of our advantages.
No, definitely. That's very true. The personal touch. And Shelley, how about you? How do people find out about your store and your brand, and what separates you from?
Oh, I will first, if it's okay, I will go back to the comparison between the big companies and the small chocolatier or artisan, because a very beautiful thing that happens here in Israel. Obviously, I agree with Jakob. It's a different product. Buying a small chocolate box of 15 bonbons, comparing to just going to the supermarket and get your chocolates. But here in Israel, one of the largest, if not the largest company, it's a huge company called Strauss Elite. They're actually the main manufacturers of chocolates in Israel, chocolate and snacks. And they actually realized or came to the idea that they want to help the entire field of chocolate in Israel to grow. And in order for them to be recognized more with good high quality chocolate, they kind of took a few small chocolate makers. It's not chocolate makers, actually. I'm not making the chocolate from scratch, but they took a few chocolatiers and made some promotional videos to incorporate them into the big firm, the big Strauss Elite chocolate website. It's still they're still working on it, but then they want to give it's like a platform to help small chocolatiers and to help them, also, but to make to have a story, to have a nicer story. So they kind of help. They order chocolate from me. They have chocolate, but they order chocolate from me to give to as gifts, and they would put the video on their website, and so it's some I can't call it synergy, because we're a teeny tiny drop comparing to them, but still it's something that that's really nice, and I think it will develop more in the near future.
That sounds great. And we're getting questions. Of course, how can people buy your chocolate? Where can they find you? And we'll share all that.
Oh, well,
We'll
yes.
share all that information after the.
I call it, it's changed, through time. I mean, when I just started off, I had my other shop. I have actually two shops, but now the first one is closed because all the production is there, and we don't want people to enter the shop because of COVID. So when I just started off, it was just me in the kitchen. The kitchen was in the back of the store, and then I was also in the front selling the chocolate. A few months, 2 or 3 months after, I realized that I can't do everything by myself, and I started. It's a natural growth of business. But then I did some social media, but you actually need to know how to do it in order to do it correctly, and I didn't know how to. So I just put some photos on Instagram, Facebook, and stuff, and it was nice. It was artistic. I loved it, but it didn't bring any traffic. What happened? What brought people in was just the store, the brick and mortar. People, neighbors came in, and then it's a word of mouth. You just got the box, you give it to somebody else. That somebody else likes it. He comes into the store, and that's it. But I had to add the social media in a more professional way, but that took me like three years to understand it. So in the first 3 years, I didn't do anything, and then I started off, and now it really works. It pays off. So you can find me. You can Google chocolate. Good chocolatiers, I don't know, something like that. You will pick me up.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, I know we're getting a lot of questions. Hopefully not for Valentine's Day, because it's too late to order your chocolate. But for people who want to order for the rest of the year, we'll share all the websites and information of each of the chocolatiers. So don't worry about it. And they're all easy to find online. And hopefully,
yeah, but they're not. Mine is not in English actually, so it's not easy to order. If you're not fluent in Hebrew, it's in the process. So it will.
We'll send a follow-up email to everyone. And again, people.
It's okay.
Also, people want to know about, does the chocolate that each of you sell, is it kosher? Is it parov? Do you have different types for different communities? I know in Israel, it's sort of a different need than the United States sometimes to have the kosher and the parov options.
In Israel, if you want to run a food business, that's part of the gift industry, you have to be kosher. You just have to be kosher. If you're a restaurant, it's a different story. But for a business like me, if I want any big firms to buy my chocolate, they would just have to have it kosher. So that's the answer.
Okay. We're also getting questions of your unique name. So maybe Yaakov, we'll start with you. How did you come up with the name for your chocolate company?
Okay, Gustel is actually the grandmother of my wife. She was born in Dresden, and she was able to escape on the last Kindertransport from Germany to the Netherlands. And she actually came on the same ship with Ben Gurion back to Israel. That there was like one place left, and she got it. Wow. And she actually stayed with Ben Gurion and his wife for about a month in their house. Then she moved and was a beginner. She joined the kibbutz and was one of the founders of Kibbutz Shluchot. But then they started. the thing that she came from very rich house, and chocolate was like a basic thing there. They always ate fine chocolate, and after she got married, she went. They went part of a sechnut, and they managed a camp for the survivors who on their way to Israel in Marseille. And then like the love for chocolate became, and she was like very passionate about chocolate, about fine sweets. She always had chocolates for her grandchildren, and for every birthday she would send special bags for each and everyone. And she passed away about two years ago. And when we were thinking about the names, we were thought about her as someone who gave us and gave the love for quality chocolate and the passion for chocolate. So it's kind of it's a kind of a thing that she passed away, but she didn't pass because she's still there. And we always like playing with the idea what kind of pralines people are. So for example, I don't know, so for her she would be I would say dark chocolate with like very like maybe salted caramel. She was very caramelized, but she had some hint with the humor and sarcasm. So would describe her as that. So the Gustel is like for her honor and what.
It's a beautiful.
And she had very unique story.
Really beautiful. I haven't heard of a chocolatier with such a unique story. That's beautiful, and that makes people more interested and invested probably in purchasing them.
Yeah, we have her portrait and on one of our walls, and people asking who is she, and then we tell about her and how great and chocolate lover was she.
Well, next time we get to travel and go to Jerusalem, one of my first stops will be at your store.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. Danielle, how about you? You have a unique name as well for your company. How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it earlier. My kitchen was always mayhem. I was always thinking about what kind of crazy things an already well-known cookie. So I get an idea and I run with it into it's just mayhem in my kitchen 24. It was kind of appropriate.
Right now it looks pretty calm and good, but
oh, just for you all, I clean up just corner of my.
Right, I can imagine. Thank you for cleaning up for us.
Absolutely.
And Shelly, how about you? Where did Jolika come from? Oh wait, you're on mute.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Well, Jolika is just, another nickname. It's like my name is Shelly, and in the family they call me Shelika. So it's like Jolika with a little more of the jolly. So just that.
Great. We're coming to the top of the hour. We are getting more questions and a lot of very strong opinions about chocolate and whether it's white chocolate, dark chocolate, Israeli versus American chocolate. But luckily, there's enough chocolate options for everyone to enjoy wherever you are in the world. And hopefully you've all enjoyed this program. Again, if you missed this or if you'd like to share this with anyone or if you want to rewatch it, we always are happy to share this program with anyone who emails us at webinar@aifl.org. We will also be sharing the websites, as we said, of all the 3 panelists so that you can enjoy chocolate year-round from them. Once we start traveling again, we can visit all of our panelists in their stores or get to try their chocolate firsthand and meet them in person. Thank you all for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day, whether it's just starting out on the West Coast or whether you've been celebrating all day in Israel. And one thing that we like to say at the America-Israel Friendship League is that friendship is our middle name. So hopefully you get to celebrate this holiday with your friends and partners and families. I hope you all join us on our future webinars. We have these webinars every Wednesday and Sunday at noon Eastern, 7 p.m. in Israel. We will have our next webinar this coming Wednesday, February 17th on leading Israeli Arab women. So please join us for that. All of our webinars are free. If you missed them, again, they're on our website and on YouTube afterwards. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you so much to our wonderful panelists and for making time for us on this busiest day of the year for all of you. So thank you so much. Enjoy the chocolate. Have fun. Thank you all.